We know for sure that Henri Charrière, who wrote Papillon, was in prison. He did do time, but that it's very unlikely that most of the book and then the film was about his life. What seems to have been the case is that he went to prison, he heard some fascinating stories about people who'd done time in various places and decided to say that it was all him. I think quite encouraged by his publisher, because it's a really good story. Much more interesting to take loads of people's stories and make it about one person and say, yeah, that was me.
Vladimir Lazinski is a news producer who specializes in covering conflicts and crime and punishment stories. He believes it's entirely possible that Charrière concocted the whole story.
Devil's Island was the ultimate place where you didn't want to go as a prisoner, because once you went over that horizon, you didn't know where you were. It was brutal, it was isolated, and you pretty much knew you didn't have a chance of ever coming back. People talk about it, but they talk about it from the outside. Now, this is a book where writing came from the persons in the prison, through literature, and then through film. You know, you got Steve McQueen and Dustin Hoffman shining a light on the brutality of a prison system. People sit up and go, oh my God, you know, does this sort of thing really happen? And the answer from the officials say, well, actually it does. The idea of any reform for prisoners is a very late 20th century idea. The idea then was just to punish and dump. It was even better if they didn't come back, because if they did come back, you have a totally hardened criminal back in your society. For them, it was a win-win situation. You get rid of the petty criminal. It's cheaper because they're building the colonial base for the empire, and they pretty much don't come back. Which is actually why the stories and the information of how brutal it was kept secret for so long, because very few people actually made it back to tell the story.
Across the docks flood France's most desperate criminals, cutthroats, thieves, swindlers, political prisoners, men who have left life 4,000 miles behind them. In the dark history of the colony, few of those who once set foot here have ever returned.
French Guiana, on the northeast coast of South America, housed a notorious penal colony which had several locations both offshore and on the mainland. It was home to Charrière for 14 years and plays an important part in the book. The facility was closed in 1953, but many remains lay abandoned in French Guiana today. The prison of Saint-Laurent-de-Maroni was the main penal institution. Local guide Ronnie agreed to show us around.
Here we are in the first black house. If you stay here, you do something wrong, the guy's gonna punish you. How? Now, this is the bad. You lie down like this, your foot down stays here, and the guard put 2 shackles for your foot. And you stay for 2 days or more. The only deliverance here is to die.
Devil's Island was probably the toughest you would get. It was the middle of nowhere. It was the end of the world at the time. There was absolutely no escape. One of the governors of the island said once, you got 2 choices to get out of here. If the sharks don't get you, the ants and everything else will. On top of that, the jailers made it absolutely difficult. They made your life miserable. It was actually better to die than to actually keep living.
Life in the penal colonies was Very difficult. People died, people were neglected. Punishment was very, very extreme.
There was a lot of abuse of prisoners going on. It was almost like the law of the jungle. There were beatings, there were abuses, there was sodomy. These were not fun places to hang out.